We are Nali.
Nally.
We are Nali. We are Nali.
We are Nally.
Somos familia.
Somos familia.
Somos familia.
We are Nali.
We are Nally. We are Nally. We are Nally. We are Nally.
Are Nali.
We are Nally.
Somos familia. We are Nali.
We are Nali.
We are Nally.
We are united.
We are Nally.
We are Nali.
And we are just getting started.
We are Nali. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Bienvenidos and welcome to our Nali family. We have a very special presentation for you. I'm very excited to bring several people onto the platform for us to have a great discussion about a wonderful program that we started right here in 2020. I am Lori Thibodeau, and I'll be your host for today. I am the founder of the La Mesa Emerging Leaders Program. On stage, I will be inviting Veronica Rodriguez. She is serving as chair for the National Association of Latino Healthcare Executives. Veronica, tell us about yourself.
Hi, Lori. Thank you. I'm excited to be here and talk about La Mesa Emerging Leaders Program. As Lori mentioned, I am the chair for the national program. I am currently serve as a project specialist at UT Southwestern here in Dallas, Texas, and I'm very excited to see the rest of our fellow alum from La Mesa joining us and answering all your questions today.
I am too. We have an exciting group with us today. This is the second year we've completed the program, and it's a 6-month long program where the participants really get to engage with not only executive leaders, but they actually get to spend time with each other. And it's just one of the things when we say, we are Nali and we are a family, just kind of bringing everybody together and learning and bringing that community feel back to professional development.
Yeah, I can honestly say that video, the We Are Familia, is definitely La Mesa. There's no doubt that every cohort that we've had through this program, there's no doubt that they've come out just with a very unique and beautiful bond and keeping in touch with each other and helping each other succeed even after the cohort.
Absolutely. I love our bonding experiences, but we'll get into more details about that as we bring the rest of our guests onto the main stage. So I first like to bring out Stephanie Flores, who's joining us from California.
Hi, everyone. It's an
Hi,
honor to be here.
Stephanie.
So I'll do a quick intro. I'm Stephanie Flores. I grew up in Santa Ana, California, first generation daughter to two Salvadoran parents. And I got my bachelor's degree at the University of Southern California. I went on to get my Master of Professional Studies. And currently I'm working as project associate at Children's Hospital Los Angeles.
Awesome. Welcome, Stephanie. I'm so glad you could join us today. I hear a lot is going on in California right now with flooding and stuff. So,
Yeah, lots of rain, but we need it.
yeah. We also have with us Guillermo Gutierrez, who's joining us all the way from the Pacific Northwest. I mean, very close to Canada.
Thank you, Lori. Yes, it is really close to Canada. Actually, I live in Bellingham right now, and it's right at the border of Canada almost. So, but yeah, my name is Guillermo Gutierrez. I've been with Peace Health for about 6 months now. I am currently an administrative fellow there at the moment, mostly doing leading initiatives and operations, kind of project manager, tracking next steps as well. I'm also the president of NALI Pacific Northwest chapter, and I'm honored to be a part of this panel. I look forward to our conversation today.
We're really excited to have you guys. We're going to bring on Arthur Soto, who's joining us from Houston, Texas.
Hey, everybody. Glad to be here. As Lori said, I'm from Houston, Texas, born and raised to two Mexican parents, first generation. I went to school out in Claremont, California at Pomona College, received my bachelor's in neuroscience, and I'm currently a full-time student at Texas Women's University getting my dual master's, MBA and MHA.
Fantastic. And we also have with us Jessica. Jessica's joining us all the way from Dallas, Texas. Originally Austin, but welcome, Jessica.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I'm so thankful to be here today, and thank you for allowing me to be part of this awesome panel. So yes, my name is Jessica. I am a first-gen college student as well. I recently graduated with my bachelor's in healthcare administration at Texas State University, and I'm currently a project coordinator in quality improvement for Krista's Health.
Awesome. Thank you guys for joining us today and just kind of learning a little bit about NALI and La Mesa. So before we kind of get started, I think a very good question is why NALI? So Guillermo, you want to tell us why?
Definitely. I think so NALI for me has allowed me to connect with my peers on a similar cultural background. I think it's important because in a workplace environment where you may be, sometimes the only Hispanic in the room, you can really share those experiences with one another. I think this is important in the Latin community, especially considering the high levels of imposter syndrome. La Mesa has reassured me that I do have a place and that I belong, and I have a value that can contribute and provide a unique perspective. I think it's crucial that we bring our community up and encourage them to be part of important conversations because it allows us the opportunity to have a seat at the table, like I said, and we can establish our own voice.
That's awesome. Veronica, what about you? What drew you to the mission of NALI?
It was quite an interesting conversation. I was speaking with one of my colleagues at the time, how we couldn't find anything for Latinos in healthcare, how much we really wanted to find people that were like us, like me, in this healthcare field. And fortunately enough, DFW was launching their chapter a couple months after that conversation. And it really has helped me feel like I fit in somewhere. And knowing the importance of helping our community, our Latino community and our allies, definitely underserved community here, and how we as Latinos in healthcare, that there's more to healthcare than just being, and I'm not saying just, but more to healthcare than nurses, doctors, and techs. There is another level of healthcare that really needs our representation, and to be in a platform with similar people, similar backgrounds. It's just that extra bit of encouragement and familia that we need to keep that motivation going, to make sure that we don't lose our focus in helping our people.
I think Jessica has something she wants to tell us too.
You read my mind, Lori. But yes, no, I agree both with Guillermo and Veronica. I think Nolly for me has been very life-changing in the sense of, just like Veronica said, many healthcare careers are pivoted towards just the medical side. And a lot of Latinos and our parents really think that that's all it's about. But as I transitioned from originally being a nursing degree major student and learning about the opportunity as a healthcare administration, I learned that people can have a presence in healthcare and do the the administration side, and it makes a difference to our community. So finding an organization like Nolly really is very welcoming, and it really helps with that imposter syndrome and finding a community that you feel like you can relate to from home, but also learning the challenges we're going to overcome together in our work environment. And so it's been very helpful.
I feel exactly what you said, and I think the video really speaks to it. We are Nolly, somos familia. When I joined Nolly, it was kind of like going to a little bit of a family reunion, like connecting with people and not feeling like you had to be with a tie that was not necessarily fitting, but where you could wear red, vibrant colors and just kind of be expressive. And it's kind of that feeling of coming as you are. And so when I was asked if I was interested in starting the DFW chapter, I was like, okay, and from that experience, I wanted to make sure that people felt that they had a safe and comfortable place. And then and we started DFW in the middle of a pandemic. We started it right before January 2020. And then COVID hit in March of 2020. And I felt like we had that experience had created this way where we could expand beyond just DFW. We were reaching audiences all over the place. And, that's really how La Mesa was formed, because there were so many people going through layoffs, recession, people just trying to get their foot in the door in the middle of a pandemic and not really knowing how do we work with this in new territory. Veronica, you were one of the founding members that kind of worked with Jackie Cifuentes, who is our founding chair, and really kind of helping me launch this initiative for the La Mesa Emerging Leader Program. What spoke to you most about the La Mesa Emerging Leader Program?
I was contacted by Jackie here in Dallas. She told me about this idea of La Mesa, and very much to what I am hoping and trying to do now is, when I heard this proposal at the time, what La Mesa was, the vision would be, I just thought, man, I wish I had that when I first started as an early careerist. I wish someone was there to be like, hey, there's this awesome program within healthcare. People like you who are, come from immigrant parents, first generation graduates. What's next? What gets us to that next level? And not only what's next, but you're not alone, you know? And that's what I loved about La Mesa. It's, hey, there's these early careers. Remember when we were early careers, we didn't know what we were doing yet. We didn't know what was next or how to get there. And then as we started navigating, we were there by ourselves. There's nothing better than accomplishing your career goals or any type of goals in life when you have people around you that genuinely care about you and want to cheer you on every step possible. And if possible, if we can do anything to make that path easier than what it was for us. So that's what spoke to me. Definitely. And there's no way I was going to say no to that.
Yeah. Jessica, we actually, you and I kind of met at the conference in Colorado before, and you chose to come to the national conference before you even knew anything about Nali and La Mesa. So tell us a little bit about your journey and what La Mesa means to you.
Yes, of course. So I think the last 2 years being in the program, I knew that I had to better prepare myself the best possible way and expending myself outside just school. And my professors were very supportive of me, building my network early on. And I know the importance of building your network because I knew that I had to network for my internship and possible jobs down the line once I graduated. So I did start looking early on to seeing how I could be involved as a student. At that time, I found out about NOLI. I was the vice president of Healthcare Leadership Coalition at my school for my program. And so that helped me kind of engage our group to see what opportunities there were outside the organization. So, of course, I was very active on LinkedIn and ran into Mrs. Lori's post about Nolly, and I was really intrigued, and I actually joined one of these panels that we're actually on right now. And I saw students who were in the same position as me, who were finishing their school in the same career field. And so it just really opened my mind, and it opened just my heart into possibilities of like, wow, this could be part of my community too, and how can I be part of this? So I found out about the Colorado Summit conference, and I just took a leap of faith. I'm like, let's do it. Let's just get on this program because this is something that could help me, for my personal growth and also meeting like-minded people, which is my journey as an early career is something that I really felt passionate about. So I'm just very thankful. I built some really strong friendships, and Stephanie, who's here, we met in last year's summit after finishing our program in Wisconsin, and you get close to everyone here, even though we're in different states, different cities. So it's pretty amazing seeing the big picture of the healthcare industry and all of our allies for healthcare executives, and just learning that we all have awesome values and a community. We want to help each other.
Absolutely. Stephanie, do you have anything to add as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been resonating with everything everyone has said so far. I would say what La Mesa means to me and Nali as well is that I think as we go through and navigate our professional careers, the personal life, you can't really get away from that. And I feel like you often get the rug pulled out from under you when you're not ready a lot of times. And so I feel like, at least in my own experience, I actually had to pivot into healthcare. Also, middle of the pandemic was when I was trying to finish my degree and figure out finally how to get my foot in the door. And just the way things worked out is the first person I went to for advice on their own, just given their own professional journey. They were already also part of the SoCal Molly chapter, and I think I could say the rest is history, but I continue to just meet new people. The people that are here on this panel are not in California, but I feel like they are absolutely family just through going through La Mesa as well. And so I think there is a such thing as having the right people who have already struggled per se to get to where they are, be able to share their wisdom with someone who's still figuring it all out. And it really does make a difference, those shared experiences and also lived experiences that are much more common, I feel like, through the NALI network.
Can I just say something that both Jessica and Stephanie talked about the conference and networking and getting to know everyone, but also the word family, familia. One of my favorite experiences of this last conference in Milwaukee, or the summit, was how people didn't realize that La Mesa, the program, is all virtual. They couldn't tell. And for most of us who attended the summit, was the first time from La Mesa that we met each other in person. And just the shock that they had when they realized we've never met in person. But the way everyone in La Mesa, even the alum, would hang out with each other and bond. And they just assume we've known each other for years, or probably went to the same school, or I don't know, but it was just beautiful to see how well and united the both cohorts had been, even though they've never met. And what unites them is not only the program, but these commonalities that we have. You know, not everyone's story is the same. We have allies, we have, you know, first, second, third generation, you know, mentees here, but we're all have the common goal, which is really pave the way for the next generation, really opening doors where we can, and giving each other advice. We had some mentees in this last cohort that were finishing their administrative fellowship while others were applying, and seeing them bond and say, hey, how did you apply? Where did you apply? Is that a good move for me? And just seeing each other mentor each other is the first step of leadership, is when you help each other within your own family. And that's beautiful, because that gives me hope that you guys are doing that as well outside of here.
One of the things that I love, and I'm going to just send a little shout out to Dr. Harvey Castro, who's in the audience, who says, look, I'm just going to, Dr. Harvey Castro, he says, great being here. He is so excited to be here with us. And Dr. Harvey has been such a phenomenal part of our La Mesa Emerging Leader program. His book, Success Reinvention, is the book that we use as part of the book club as we try to figure out what our why is. And Dr. Harvey has wonderful stories that he shares with us, as well as he actually, on the last session, he actually comes in and has a private session with all of the students, and, you know, has that one-on-one time with him. And so I just wanted to give a special shout out to him and for his work and just helping us make La Mesa successful. Some of the other things that I think make La Mesa successful is we have speakers that range from a whole different variety of topics, and sometimes we even have panels. And these aren't panels that are live to the entire audience. It's only live to this small cohort. What we tried to build was a safe place, because oftentimes it can get overwhelming. If you've ever experienced imposter syndrome, or if you ever felt nervous because you're approaching things for the first time, you haven't really had the opportunity to kind of go through these experiences, this kind of gives you a safe place, because you learn about your different cohort members, but then you also get to have that intimate conversation with leaders who are very transparent in their storytelling and what their experiences are. So I want to talk about what are some of the things that, from a learning perspective, that you really found useful in a La Mesa program, something maybe that you use with you today.
Yes.
Yes,
I can go.
Guillermo.
Yeah. As you mentioned before, the book that we went over, Success Reinvention, I really liked how they restructured your barriers, right? So in the book, when it talks about the barriers, it sort of teaches you to restructure them to think of more of like a task list of seeing like what things I need to do to get to that goal. And to me, it really helped me because, some of these goals that I do have are kind of big and they're kind of overwhelming sometimes, but that has allowed me to really take that mentality on in other aspects as well, where I can just like take it one step at a time or one day at a time. And then, so that's one thing, I guess, for me.
Great.
Yeah, if
Stephanie?
I can add to that. Yeah, absolutely. So I actually was thinking about how throughout the time that we were progressing through the book and having these intimate breakout sessions and getting everybody's perspectives, I do know that something that resonated is this idea of reframing. We know that there's these invisible or not invisible glass ceilings that we feel when we're kind of going into our own professional journey. And I feel like at the very least, this book absolutely was able to reframe things. And I feel like I tell myself often now, there are ways and then there are ways. There's examples such as Dr. Castro messaging textbook writers and asking if they could donate a book for a class, and just kind of knowing that you should never really give up and always find different ways to do things. So I think that's something that I absolutely carry through just from the book itself. And so, yeah.
And just to piggyback off of Stephanie, I know I've mentioned a few times during our small discussions that are kind of more behind the scenes of how impactful Nali has been for me. For context, like you mentioned, it's been during the pandemic. I had just moved out on my own. I started a new program at TWU. I didn't really have uh, any other different organizations going around, especially during COVID, where we couldn't really interact in person and we were all masked up. And then with Nolly, having that confidence of going into the path that I am going on with my MBA, MHA, as well as trying to uplift our communities, as mentioned before, as we go through this journey and realizing how like-minded our familia is and what we're trying to do and strive towards our goals and uplift our communities, and realizing how our circles intertwine. Like for instance, Hilda, one of our members here from our cohort, she's in my Texas Women's program. She's in NALI. She's in our ACHE cohort, as well as John and Wendy. Like we even went to the conference together and hung out, and now we have a Houston chat that we're trying to kind of build up with those two different groups together, meshed into one. So just having those kind of resources and experiences really do make a difference, because Hanali was probably like the first thing that really tipped it for me in terms of being able to have the confidence to apply to different scholarships, join different organizations, and it really does make a difference, as Stephanie was saying earlier.
That's awesome. Jessica?
Yes, no, I think everyone's personal growth through the La Mesa can be impacted in many different ways. For me, the breakout sessions really just helped us also be vulnerable, and that's something unusual sometimes. As a student and as a family member, you kind of start understanding and it gave me a lot of self-awareness, but it also humbled me a lot to to listen to everyone's individual story and their reason why they're entering healthcare. And so we all have a beautiful journey that's really unfolding, and the fact that we get to have that bond within this mentorship program and also get guidance from people who probably have overcome the same difficulties or obstacles through our professional and even personal life. And so it gave me a lot of hope and inspiration. If anything, all of you on this panel have inspired me in one way or another, and it just keeps me like with optimism and positivity that anything is possible. And of course, the last meeting, Dr. Harvey, was very impactful because the fact that we could be on that one-on-one basis with him and actually listen to a author slash doctor who made it happen no matter what, it's just truly a great program to be part of. And I'm forever grateful for the opportunity of being part of this mentorship program.
Great learning opportunities in the program. I think one of the really good learning opportunities is learning from each other, and the fact that one of the things we like to do is we like to give back. So a part of the program, you can either volunteer or you can participate in a panel, or you could do both. And in that, you kind of get leadership skills and experiences. You're always doing presentations, but next thing you know, you're an anchor woman leading these sessions. And some have been on Spanish panels, some have been on English panels, and everyone has this wisdom to give, and it's about helping the next person get to the next level. So really being able to communicate, how do we get there? And, and then I love, Veronica mentioned it earlier, is that you're not going to feel like you're alone. There's sometimes when you're first in your family, you feel the weight of your family and the pressure to do well. And by coming together as a family, and everyone has different experiences in their journey, but the way we kind of come together and support each other, it just makes you feel like, it's going to be okay, and you can do it, and I think that is really helpful in that journey. One of the things that I'd like to pivot into our discussion is, what is some of your guys' favorite memories of being a part of La Mesa? So Veronica already has a smile on her face, so I'm gonna start with her first. So
Oh goodness, no pressure. There's so many memories. Just trying to pick from the cohort, honestly, were these like really vulnerable moments, and book club was a big part of that. I was just impressed on how much it takes one person to allow themselves to break down some barriers to just let other people feel safe. So my favorite memory is just seeing some of, and obviously I can't tell you the conversation because try to respect their privacy, but just hearing these conversations from each other, and even prepping for the panels was my favorite. Hearing some stories of, kind of how you mentioned, Lori, some of us are the first to do anything like this in our own household, and the stories that I would hear from everyone when they would tell their parents, like, okay, I'm going to move. I have to move for this fellowship, and like, this is the first time they're moving away from their family that's in a different state sometimes. And there were two people that said this, and one was how he mentioned how he used to make fun of his mom's habit of having a ton of plants. So when he moved, one of the things he purchased was a plant because it made him feel like home. So the one thing he kept giving his mom a hard time about these plants, he himself ended up buying plants mimicking, what home felt like. And I think there was someone else with like some chickens or something, like some animal. And it was their first time moving out as well. And how their thing was, they ended up buying something similar. But how interesting how people connected in something like that, like what their first experiences are, and giving each other advice of like, yes, we're moving to another city, and let me tell you, I looked up these places where young professionals hang out or whatnot, so this is my advice, so that it keeps you motivated and kind of makes you feel a little less homesick. People think you're adults, you don't get homesick, but you really do. And in a Latino household, you really do. You miss abuelita's cooking, you miss mom's cooking, you miss everyone's cooking. And sometimes, I mean, Guillermo, no offense, but I'm sure you can't find great Mexican food like you did here in Texas. But yeah, it's I love those memories of just hearing each other give advice. I really do.
I think Guillermo wanted to say something about the Mexican food he's found.
Uh-oh.
Hold on. Guillermo, tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, there are a few here but it's nothing like home. Like I agree. Like I've had to call my mom multiple times and be like, "Hey, how do you make this recipe? Like I need it. Walk me through it step by step just to feel, um, that sort of home where I'm at." So, and I think that I guess to tie into my favorite experiences, I think for me, that sense of community, when speaking to everyone is so open. And like Veronica said, it just took one person to just speak about their personal life and their story to really open up everyone, right? And once that happened, it just got everyone talking, and it just made you feel like you're really supported, and not alone, right? And it kind of you know motivated me as well to start giving back and start seeing where I can really help others that come after me. I have two younger sisters who are kind of going down a little bit similar route, but having that, it's kind of like having a sibling, right? Like a family, and sort of talking about your experiences and then seeing how you can help one another. So that really spoke to me a lot, and that was my favorite part.
Jessica?
Honestly, my favorite memories, I think every moment we spent together, there has been something funny. Even before getting on this, we were laughing in the background about, music. And so it just, like Guillermo
You
said,
can be honest. They were making fun of my choice of music.
we were trying to, get all pumped up for this meeting. And so we were trying to choose the right song to make it happen. But honestly, every meeting we have, whether it's virtual or in person, it's just been a great time. And we always have something to talk about, whether that's ways of our personal growth in our careers or something that is going on in our personal lives. But it just feels like home. It feels like somewhere that I feel like I belong. So that's why I highly support anybody, a early careerist in healthcare, who wants to find a place and just learn more. And also, they have great just learning tools that you can apply into your early career. Just that mentorship piece in itself really creates that professional development skill to start being confident. I think that's what it instilled in me. And so yeah, I think it can be scary because for me it was just scary applying for jobs, but thankfully my Nolly Familia kept checking in on me and just making sure I was okay, because it was a journey, but I am so happy to find my first job in healthcare, and I'm just excited for everyone here. So yeah.
Yeah.
I can go next. So I think there's definitely leadership opportunities through La Mesa, through Nale, and just having the privilege or honor to be called up and say, Are you ready to be on the main stage at a conference, or are you ready to do a Spanish LinkedIn Live? And not only just really believing in yourself, but having this like genuine support, just like cheering you on. Like Jessica mentioned, just like 2 minutes before we're about to go on, and just be ready to go. You are getting those messages of like, you got this, and I personally can't say I know where else I would get that. I do believe that that's something it's been very special, at least for my experience with Nali and La Mesa as well. So as I'm working on my leadership and professional development, I can say it very much has come with this genuine, just cheering you on. And I feel like that's something that really encourages you to go even further. So yeah, I'm grateful.
Author?
Yeah, definitely. Just to piggyback, agreeing with everyone was saying, I think for me, like Veronica was saying, being vulnerable with yourself as well as with the rest of the family, I think was a very, which is also what I've mentioned in our past group discussions, was something that I've like always been working on, even since from an early age. And especially, I think that's probably stemming from like a cultural slash childhood kind of upbringing experience that maybe others in our family have experienced. I'm not sure. But of course, we've all experienced imposter syndrome, or most of us experience imposter syndrome, feeling of failure or fear of failure, and those kinds of feelings. The second thing I think was most, one of my favorite parts was how transferable and applicable all our skills and experiences we had here were. For instance, we were talking about process improvement when we were doing the Lean Six Sigma certification, or like or problem framing with Dr. Castro in his book, and how I was already hearing those discussions at school or at work, because I'm doing both full time. So I think that was definitely eye-opening and helpful, and really awesome to see that all these things I'm learning here I can take back with me in those settings. And then the last thing I feel like was definitely the icing on the cake was, as Laura was saying, meeting your family in person, because like we've mentioned, this is a program that's all online, and we just see each other on tiny little boxes for 6 months. But being able to see like Hilda, John, Wendy, whoever else I left out at the conference for ACHE, it was just a really awesome feeling, because you feel like you know this person because you've been talking to this person for 6 months, but then actually seeing them in person and going into a conference now and actually knowing some people and not feeling alone was a great experience.
I would say that my favorite experience has always been the laughter. I feel like people go through so many different things, and sometimes whether it's being defeated or feeling defeated because maybe you're still looking for a job, or they feel defeated because they just haven't been told yes yet. And that I feel like you have your own like cheerleaders club, and everybody is just so welcoming and accepting. Like it's a community feel like you belong, and your culture also belongs. And so it's about that connection. Specific memories that I loved was I've been through a few different conferences where I see La Mesa graduates or NALI members, and I think one of the fun things is to like see them and meet them in person and spend time with them, and just have good laughter, whether we're practicing or we're just like learning about each other and seeing each other for the first time. And it's like, oh my gosh, like you do exist. Kind of like the M&Ms. But it's really a really fantastic program. And I hope more people consider applying to the program. we offer skill-based training. So whether it's resume building, some type of skill-based training, this past year we did the white and yellow belt Lean Six Sigma training. We have the book club component. We have different speakers that come in. We have panel discussions. And if you're in the audience and you're like, you're looking at ways to give back, definitely reach out to us. We're developing programs, and I think the best way to continue to grow is to pay it forward. And so we created this table, and this table is a space for us to come together and welcome others into the table. And if you have any wisdom that you want to give, if you want to sponsor, all of that is available. And so I definitely highly recommend, just kind of being a part of La Mesa, no matter your journey, and being a part of Dolly, and really kind of connecting with us. So we're going to talk a little bit about the application. So applications open today. You guys are looking at me. So applications open today. And one of the things that I really want to stress to people about the application is the importance of the application. This year we'll only be accepting 25 students. The program is completely free for the people who participate in the program, as long as you meet the criteria. And this is why the application is really critical, that you take the time to answer the questions. You really you be thoughtful in your responses, because it is a competitive process. I'm not saying that it isn't doable, but I'm saying that you have to put in some effort in order to even be considered. As long as you're a NALI member, the program is free. And the most important thing I want to say about that is really kind of thanks to our sponsors that we have, that this is an investment to bring the next healthcare leaders along. Right now, people of color and are really not really seeing at the top, or there is very, very few. And so the thing is that in healthcare, we're providing care for individuals in the community that we want to continue to build that trust. And one of the ways we do that is by building our leaders, building a pipeline for leaders, so that they do see people that look like, representation, so that they do and get the care that they need. I think that's an important part of the process. And this is why in our program, we believe so heavily in giving back, and that has been the servant leadership aspect of our program. Veronica, would you like to add some things as well?
I just want to highlight again something you mentioned about the application. Not to scare anyone away by any means. It is very competitive. It is a national program, and we are only accepting 25 applicants. So the more you write in this application that highlights who you are, it will better your chances in getting in the program. I just do not recommend writing a one-line response or two-line response that doesn't really showcase who you are as a person and what you are hoping to receive from this program. We are here to help you, but in order for us to help you as well, we need to know who you are. There's a big difference between many of our cohorts. Our first cohort was very early careers. Our second cohort, also early careers. But the difference was we had a lot of administrative fellows. So we had to not revamp the agenda, but make sure we highlight the needs of who the mentees would be of this cohort. So the more you write, the more we're able to know how we can help. Because that is what La Mesa is. La Mesa, strictly like, just translated table, is truly to provide you a seat at a table as an early careerist and make sure that we at La Mesa give you the skills necessary so that you can succeed. And the only way we are able to determine what skills are needed is by seeing who you are and what you need from us. So just don't get scared because there's only 25, but really showcase who you are. Everyone's journey is different. Just because your journey isn't like Guillermo's or Arthur, Jessica's, or Stephanie doesn't mean you don't qualify or deserve to have a seat at the table. We accept allies. We accept anyone really to apply. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We just really encourage you to apply, but showcase who you are.
Yeah,
And I
and if
also
you are
recommend.
scared, sorry,
Go ahead, Guillermo.
I was saying, and if you are scared, do it scared anyway. You'll thank yourself later.
And I also recommend reading the FAQ section. If you have any questions, you could reach out to the people on the panel. There's a magazine that will be coming out for this coming year. You can definitely reach out to graduates. Look at our website. Just kind of learn more about us.
Yeah, and I do want to talk about the program very quickly. We meet twice a month. We have a speaker series and we have a book club. And then the volunteer portion is throughout the cohort, and the panels, depending on on everyone's schedule, really may vary towards the end, in the middle, or whatnot. But yes, just keep in mind it is a commitment of 6 months to meet twice a week, usually the first and third Tuesday of the month. And if I am wrong, then that is your test to check our FAQs because it's on there. But yes, please just really consider it. I think obviously I'm going to be biased, but the alum here can definitely convince you far better than I ever could.
So as part of, I'm just going to go around the room, do a round robin. And my question for you guys is, what type of advice, lasting thoughts that you would like to leave the audience with? I feel like, Guillermo, you start us off. Do it scared. What did you say?
Yeah, fine. I'll do it scared. That's my main thing. Is always, this. I think this program has really allowed me to really, get out of my comfort zone for sure. It does take a lot to be vulnerable, and I think this is a perfect opportunity to find that community that does allow you to be vulnerable and really connect with people around you. So, I think last thing I would say is this is a great opportunity that I would, if possible, would gladly have to do again and again, just to meet different people, because I know the people I met, my cohort, I still talk to a few of them, and it's still, to me, they're like family, right? And I can connect with them and compare similar stories. So again, just this is a great opportunity.
Any other thoughts?
I can go next. So I would say that no matter what level you are in your career, student, early careerist, mid-level, there actually is a little bit of something for everyone. I think that's absolutely a given if you participate in La Mesa. I would also say, just like, because I've been able to reflect back on my time in this program, I also feel like inadvertently we're also getting really amazing soft skills as far as like one day we're all going to be amazing managers and executive CEOs. And I feel like just going through this network has really helped me think about what would I want to do as far as like giving back or how to lead the people that come after me. And I can't go without saying that in one of the panels I got to share the saying "Hoy por mí, mañana por ti," and it's very much those vibes as we go along. And so, yes.
I will piggyback off both Guillermo and Stephanie, and I feel like we were all in a similar position. So I know that if you are a student or early careers that is willing to do all the meetings, I highly recommend it because I know if I did it, I know you can too. And I'm just excited for everyone entering the healthcare field.
If you needed a sign to finish your application, this is your sign. Finish your application. Join this amazing community. Bet on yourself. Don't, like Guillermo was saying, do it scared. I mean, I definitely was coming from being a very early careerist during COVID and doing everything online, including my school. So definitely bet on yourself and don't be afraid to be vulnerable.
Awesome. Well, we are Nolly. Somos familia. Join us.